The South African National Defence Force, together with the police today, are conducting raids at the Vosloorus Hostels. This follows the unrest that gripped parts of Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. In Vosloorus, one person was shot and killed during the week of looting and violence. Mahlako Komane is there to give us more this morning. A very good morning to you, Mahlako. What have you seen so far? What's happening?
Yes, good morning to you, Desiree. We are indeed here in Vosloorus on the East Rand in Ekurhuleni, and operations have just begun. We've seen SANDF members accompanied by police, cordoning off this particular hostel. As you quite correctly saw, said that there was a killing that happened here last week during the lootings that took place. There is going to be a search as well as, I suppose, a seizure or a confiscation of goods. This is not far from the Cambridge mall, or rather complex, where we saw looting also taking place there, as well as other malls in this particular area. Your Chris Hani crossing as well, also looted and burnt. But, operations are going to get underway in not so long. But right now, what is actually happening, we've seen members of SANDF just surrounding this area to give police an opportunity to get in and do their seizure operations or their raids of this particular area. We are definitely going to be here for the better part of the day because it's quite a big hostel. It's not small, and we'll be seeing what is it that members of the police will be finding. We saw, obviously, these have been taking place in KZN as well as in Gauteng. Last week we were in Boiketlo and Sebokeng as well, where we saw quite a number of your furniture, your appliances, hardware goods, as well as groceries being taken back by members of the police, as well as SANDF, which was there supposed to reinforce or to enable the police to do their jobs in areas that are not deemed to be safe. Desiree?
Mahlako, by its very nature, this process has the potential to trample on people's human rights. Is this even a consideration as the army gets into this process?
I will hope so, that it would be a consideration, but I suppose these are the things that we will be seeing as scenes unfold during the course of this morning, to see exactly what it is that they're doing. The ones that I have witnessed personally, it's really police as well, accompanied by SANDF members knocking on people's doors, asking to search their properties or asking if they have anything on their premises that should not be there, that should belong to any of the complexes in whatever area they may find themselves. But you're quite correct. Obviously, there has been the issue of human rights that has come to the fore. How do you balance the two, keeping law and order, as well as ensuring that people's constitutional rights remain protected? So, it will really be quite interesting to see how that unfolds during the course of the day. And also, I suppose, Desiree, the other issue that has been on a lot of people's minds is where these things are going. We'd heard that they will be destroyed. We've seen NGOs coming out, as well as ordinary South Africans coming out and saying that they wish that they will not destroy your foodstuffs in particular, because there is issues of hunger in this country. A lot of people are hungry and poverty is rife. Food prices are through the roof. They've skyrocketed over the past couple of months. So I think it still is the question on everybody's minds is what will then happen to some of these things. But we know that in the immediate term, what will happen to these things, they will go into police custody. They will be in the storage of police to be used, I suppose, as evidence when these cases do finally make their way to the courts. Desiree?
Mahlako, do we know if there's some sort of protocol or system in terms of how they conduct these searches so that they are standard and the members of the police force and the army don't end up just doing it any which way they want?
Desiree, I'm just going to move out of shot and I will answer that question. In terms of protocol, I will assume that these are the conversations that take place at the briefings, at the various briefings that they have, because these are obviously joint operations between SANDF as well as the police. Police should be trained in these type of matters. As you can see, there's some police cars that are coming in, but members of the SANDF also just moving into this hostel. It's rather an open space, quite a big space. But in terms of the protocol, I'm assuming that police they are knowledgeable in issues of human rights as well as upholding the law, while also respecting citizens and their rights, and also protecting their particular rights. These are conversations that do take place at the various briefings before these operations take place, Desiree.
And also, Mahlako, have you had the opportunity to interact with the people who live at the Vosloorus Hostel, just to get a sense from them, how, with hindsight, how they feel about the events of a few weeks ago, the looting and the violence?
Desiree, we had not necessarily been allowed to go into this space before. Members of police as well as SANDF were able to cordon off the area, I suppose also for issues of safety. So we haven't had an opportunity to engage with members of this particular community, of this particular area of residence, this Nguni hostel here in Vosloorus. But I'm going to just try and pull someone off and see if they are willing to speak to us on camera, and just ask them how they feel about the events of last week. Do they feel that these were things that should have happened? What are the emotions in this particular area? Let me just talk to these two gentlemen. One doesn't look like they're interested to be on television. I'm just going to wait for this entourage of police. We're just going to jump the street and ask this gentleman if indeed how he feels. Ngicela ukubuza ukuthi last week izinto bezenzakala lana emphakathini, uzizwa kanjani ngalama lootings bewayenzakala lana eFoslo?
Sisi khona kube likhuni kakhulu ngoba namanje nje silambile impela nje kakhulu. Hayi kube nzima khona. Kodwa ke bezingeke senze lutho ngoba nathi izimo ade zenzakala uyabo. Hayi silambe kakhulu.
Yini ongathi baba inenzela ukuthi nilambe soloko kwayenzakala lama lootings okule viki elidlulile?
Zitoro evulelwe, akutholakala izinkwa, akutholakala lutho, into eyiningi nje. Like thina nabantu ngoba sisebenza nangabantu nje futhi ke kuyinkinga nje. Senkinga nje.
Manje manje babona abantu niyatry ukuthi nikhulumisane nabantu manje babona bathatha lezi zinto, manje babuza maybe abomakhelwane or abantu enibaziyo ukuthi khambani ukuthi nize nithathe lezi zinto lezi eyitolo.
Sisi akubi lula kanjalo ukuthi ngasukubuza abantu. Phela singaje zithi basuke sebefana nezidlamlilo ngoba ngempela hayi basuke sebezinkinga bengasakhuzeki, uyabo. Asoke ngasakhuzeki nje sidalo. Sekundlovu yangena nje.
Desiree, you've just heard there. I've spoken to this gentleman. I've just spoken to Ntozakhe Lang, and he was just telling he lives here in this hostel here at the Nguni hostel in Vosloorus, just basically telling us that since this has happened and this has taken place, what is going on here is there's issues of hunger. They're saying that they are not able to get your basics that they were able to get previously. Things have become rather difficult. And when quizzed on when you saw people looting, what conversations were you having? Were you able to ask people what was it that was going on? Saying it becomes very difficult to try and engage with somebody that is looting, saying that it's dangerous. You cannot try and speak sense to a person that's already in that environment or that's already partaking in that particular activity, but saying that things have become difficult, the issue of poverty. And one of the gentlemen that's also working with the gentleman there, when I asked him, I heard him actually say that since lockdown, things have not been particularly easy for them as a community, citing that the lockdown has really exacerbated issues of poverty as well as hunger, if you so call it. And I suppose these are some of the driving factors that made people to go and loot these particular stores, Desiree.
Mahlako, we see that the police are starting to move around. The police contingent seems very small from where we're looking at. But are you able to get commentary from SABC regarding the process now that they're starting?
Desiree, I see they're knocking on the house. I did say earlier that this place is actually quite big. It's not only here where operations are happening. As you can see, the SABC has arrived. They are beginning to knock on those particular doors, trying to engage with residents. Some people are still sleeping, I'm going to assume, or perhaps others have gone to work, but seemingly no response at this particular door that is being knocked on. It seems like there is no one home. Police trying to figure out if there is somebody that stays here. But I see in the next residence, there seems to be some movement there in terms of somebody opening up for law enforcement. But a lot of people actually not, I don't know if they're not here or what is it that is happening here. In terms of SABC, Desiree, getting commentary from SABC, we will be here for the duration of the better part of this morning, if not to the afternoon as well, to try and get a comment from SANDF and SABC. I know that I am bound to speak to Captain Silo. We've just lost each other as with the commotion of the seizures, the searches. So I will find him and we'll cross back to you and just find out exactly what is the nature of these operations and which other areas, if they are willing to share, will they be visiting today in Vosloorus, because it's also a big township here in Ekurhuleni.
Mahlako, as you follow the police, the timing is also a bit tricky, isn't it? Presumably people are off to work at this time of day.
Yes, indeed, Desiree. This is a conversation that I had with Captain Silo from SANDF in terms of the timing. You'll remember last week when we were in Bukwetlong, I think I was with Simpiwe that week. What happened there was we arrived very early in the morning. By about 7 o'clock, they had already started. They had started visiting the particular homes in that informal settlement. By this time, a lot of goods had already been taken. I did ask Captain Silo, what is the difference? How do you determine which area to visit at which particular time? And the explanation that I was given was that this is intel that they get from police. Theirs is more of a supporting service to the South African police services. They come here when they are called and when they are asked in terms of those operations. These operations were meant to actually begin as early as 8 o'clock this morning. That did not happen. I'm not sure exactly what was the hold up there? What was it that, why were they late in terms of arriving here on time? But operations are already underway. This house is being, this is the house where the people are here, and police are already in this particular property to search the property. I have Captain Silo here from SANDF. Let me just sneak in a quick word with him, and I think we can ask him those questions in terms of what's the nature of today's operations and what are they actually going to do here? Are there any other areas that they will be visiting? Captain, thank you so much for speaking to us. Can you just tell us about today's operations? What is the plan? What are you guys hoping to do here today?
Basically, what they are doing now, they are searching for all these looted items. Yeah, so that's basically what we are doing in the hostel, and we'll be going to other areas as well. Yeah, so basically here is we are searching in the hostel, but it's not the only place that you're going to be searching.
So we will be moving here and going to other places. In Vosloorus, will we also be going to Katlehong, is just focusing on Vosloorus today?
The focus is on Vosloorus, yeah.
And also, you were just telling me that we were meant to begin at 8 o'clock, but SANDF will get the cue from South African Police Services?
Yes, remember there was a briefing earlier this morning by the SAPS, also with our members, in terms of the briefing, in terms of the areas in which you need to cover. And basically, this is the first step in which we are starting here in the hostel. Then we'll be moving to other areas as well. But you'll see most of the areas will be on foot patrols and mobile patrol and cordon searching as well taking place there.
Thank you so much, Captain. You've heard there, Desiree, that these operations will not only be limited to Nguni Hostel, but they will be going to other areas, but they'll also be doing foot patrol. I suppose that's the army as well as the police on foot. The focus also, he was just saying that the focus will also be on those looted goods, trying to recover those, Desiree.
Mahlako, you're part of the process. You're there on the ground. What is your sense? Is this being done in a professional and a law-abiding way? Do you get a sense that the police and the army will yield anything from this morning's raid?
So far, Desiree, we're just quickly walking. There's stuff that things have already been found. We're just going to move a bit closer there. It's food stuff, your washing powder, rice, as well as millie meal, more millie meal, shoes that have also been taken out of this particular residence. I'm going to assume, as you can see, I did say earlier on that this hostel is right behind the Cambridge complex here in Vosloorus. As you can see, that particular brand belongs to Cambridge there. But I also understand that there is a fridge that's also been found. I suppose the search has already begun yielding what was the intention. As we'd heard there, Captain Silo from SANDF telling us that their aim is to retrieve or recover that which was stolen, looted a few days ago, rather a week or so ago. And I also understand that there is also appliances that have also been taken back by the police. My understanding as well is that there is a fridge. We're looking for the fridge. Brooms as well have also been being recovered here. And doors, there's a door not so far. I can see a door that would obviously come from a hardware store. Seemingly we are seeing same type of things that were also found in Gauteng last week. Sibusiso? We are seeing things that have been, found in Gauteng. You'd remember in terms of visually what we found there. Food, appliances, as well as your hardware, like the doors, your brooms, your heaters and so forth. And you can see in that dustbin that's also being searched there, a lot of these things, I suppose, you had to carry them. I suppose anything that they could find to carry some of these things out of these particular stores. There's also dacha here that we are finding in this yellow plastic bag. I'm assuming if you could just open that for us. Dacha that has, and in this particular plastic bag, there's dacha that's been found in huge quantities. I don't know if it's for personal consumption or what, but it's quite a lot for personal consumption, as well as in that black dustbin that we were seeing there as well. More dacha as well coming out of there. It would seem it's quite a lot for personal consumption. Obviously, people can consume personally, but I would assume perhaps it was for sale. I don't know, but these are the things that police would have to figure out as law enforcement as they effect their arrests, as well as the seizure of these or the confiscation of these looted goods, Desiree.
Well,
we're going to move. We're moving.
Yeah.
There's doors. They're on my right, on my...
Yes, Mahlako, I really wish you could bring back the SANDF captain to talk to us through this process, because, as I said in the beginning, the potential for the trampling of human rights. South Africa now has laws that allows you to have some level of dacha in your house, so it doesn't necessarily mean that's illegal. And if they find things in your house that come from Cambridge, the Cambridge shopping center, it doesn't necessarily mean they were looted. They could have been bought from there. So what measure are they using to determine whether things are illegally in your house or not? Because that's a very fine line to straddle, isn't it?
Yes, it's definitely a fine line. You're quite correct, especially also with the issue of Dagga. But I am going to try and ask Captain Silo if he's able to give us a comment on that. I'm not sure if that would be in his jurisdiction or that of SAPS in terms of what yardstick they are using to determine whether these goods have been looted or not. Captain, just a quick one. Are you able to tell us, is there a yardstick how we figure out whether these things have been looted or not, or, just that fine line between what is mine and what is not mine?
Clearly you can see. A normal household, you can never have 12.5 in the house for the whole month. You can see these are the things which have been looted. Some of the things you can see, they're still packed. Now look at this. There are also doors and everything like this. So you can see those things are some of the things which definitely they have been looted. There's no need for them to ask for any slip or any things like this when you find things like this in your house.
And also in terms of the dacha that we saw there, would we say that's for personal use, or is it for sale?
No, that is a person who's normally selling dacha around the hostel. You can see it is too much for one person to actually have that thing on his house. You can see that it's meant for sale or something like that.
Thank you so much, Captain. You've heard there the response by Captain Silo. They're just telling us that some of the things are still packed. You'd find your doors as well as your appliances. There's a double door fridge there as well by the house where dacha was discovered, but also saying that the quantity of the dacha that was found at that particular house cannot be for personal use. It looks like they are selling. Let me ask this lady. Okay, she unjani ngikhona uhlala la ekhaya uhlala la ekhaya ngicela ukubuza uyazazi lezi zinto lezi ezenu or izibuya ngale itolo?
Mina mama ngizazi lezi zinto lezi.
Yini ongayazi, so like motha uzazi usho ukuthi zifike kanjani la ekhaya nithengile or zifikile nje?
Angizazi sifike kanjani.
Uvele wayibona sezifikile or hambeni
sithatha. Ngibona ngoba sebephuma nazo azibasatha ikamereni lami angizazi bayithathe kuphi ikamera.
As you've heard, Desiree as well, she also lives in this particular property where these goods were taken out, saying that she doesn't know these, the origins of these goods, saying that she just saw them being pulled out. They weren't taken from her room. She doesn't know where they came from. These were also similar answers that we also got when we were in Gauteng last week, people saying that they're not sure how those things got onto their property. The first time they laid eyes on them was when they were being taken out by your police services as well as the army. Desiree.
Yeah. Mahlako, it's only been 20 minutes we've been talking to you, and already quite a lot of goods have been coming out of those hostel rooms. It's quite a lot.
It is quite a lot. I'm just going to find a gentleman here and ask him if he knows anything about it. Ngikhona ngiyabona ukuthi abaphoyisa bakhipha izinto la ekhaya niyazazi lezi zinto ukuthi zivela
ungaba kunamanga sisangazi ngoba lapha engikhona ngilapha eshop ngapha esayidini.
Awuzibonanga noma zingena la ekhaya?
Kwesinye isikhathi ezinye izinto zazenzekile ukunganeni ebusuku ngoba nokulala ngilalela lokushini. Ngilale ehlokishini eyami ikamelo nanti leli ngapha engilenza ishop. Yes, ngapha sibona nalo ngilenza ishop.
Wena awuhlali ngakuthatha izinto khona, is that what you're saying?
Cha, akuzange sidala. Namanje futhi ngisathumele ngizostocka nje. Namanje nje mhlambe kodwa nje nomuntu futhi engimthumele engaba nenkinga yokungena ngoba kungenile.
Ngiyabonga bhuti. You've heard Desiree, the gentleman there, professing his innocence, saying that he has his own, I think it's a spaza or so, but saying that he doesn't know where these things came. He doesn't really sleep here. He sleeps in the other part of the township. When asked if he saw them coming in, he says, well, these things happened at night. He doesn't know. He didn't see much. That's what I understood him to be saying, Desiree.
Mahlako, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed. Of course, we will continue to touch base with you as developments unfold where you are at the Vosloorus Hostel.